Here in Bundaberg, Andy Fyffe has built a flexible system, reducing costs and driving efficiency.
Maximising the efficiencies of the operation is the difference between us having a good year or just an ordinary year. Firstly, I don't have a full-time irrigation guy anymore. I pretty much do that all through my phone. Because it doesn't matter where I am on the farm, I can be out in a block or I can be on a tractor somewhere and I can check to see how the irrigation's going. I can see whether or not I've got major leaks through flow rate changes. I can see whether or not there's a blockage, whether or not the valve didn't open properly. I can see whether or not the fertiliser's going in.
Practical irrigation scheduling based on water use data from simple probes and observation informs the automated system, delivering the right amount of water to crops.
We try to trigger all of our scheduling from the plants with most demand, and generally that's the oldest plants up until that harvest point. Sometimes we start a season after flooding rains and we've got an extremely high or full profile of water, high water table. Water irrigation scheduling is going to be very different to if we started the season with a prolonged dry spell. So generally, if you can get a bit of a feel for it in the first couple of blocks, you can quickly work out your program just after watching the ups and downs of the probes in the first month or two. I mean, without probes, you still have to do the same thing, but rather than having it written on the computer screen, you have to go out there and dig the dirt up and make sure you've not overwatered or underwatered, and you work out your schedule that way. It's not feasible to just have probes in every block. It's not feasible to have a bloke check every block every single time when you're running an automation program. And we might have 15 or 20 blocks going at a time, and I don't have a full-time irrigator anymore. I don't want to be spending my time out there picking up the dirt if I can be spending my time doing other things.
Labour, water and fertiliser savings are paying off.
It costs you 50 grand a year to pay a guy to drive around and fertilise. I don't pay that anymore. And that system's been running for 5 years, and I think my maintenance per annum might be about 2 grand. From a water use perspective, we're probably using about 20% less water than we did historically. Probably the other one would be fertiliser use. The ability to be able to correctly dose the right amount of fertiliser at the right time with the right amount of wash-in time based on one simple setup. At the start of the season, you go through and say, you put a dye in the water, and how long does it take to get from point A to point B, and how long does that dye take to wash out of the block? It's that quick. You can schedule all of your irrigations with pre-waters and post-waters to without fertiliser to make sure that fertiliser ends up in the block and not washing down the end of one row or sitting in the main line for the next block.
Before setting up an automated system, Andy was tied to the farm once a crop was in. Now, with the phone-based system...
By taking that irrigation monitoring out and doing a spray before you go, you can find yourself away for 3 or 4 days at a time without fear or worry that your crop's not going to be watered properly, because the computer tells you. So you end up finding yourself with more time. I find myself with more time. I have weekends every now and then now.